like
Yeah.
deserved. I want to see how that shakes out because I quite frankly think that of the newbies, I'll call them, I think she's got the most promise.
There are 24 players that have been called up to the 2025 Futures Camp. That is also a little nervous to play in front of Emma Hayes. This is the first time U.S. Soccer is putting on a Futures Camp, which is going to run concurrently with the U.S. Women's National Team training camp. And Emma Hayes, the head coach for the senior national team, talked about how when the senior national team is on a break or they have an off session, she's going to go over and coach this Futures Camp, get a good look at them. It is truly an even playing field across the board. But of these 24 players, 14 of them are already professional, 10 still play in college. But when you look at the whole group of 24, 17 of them have experienced FIFA Youth Women's World Cup. So they have a lot of international experience. And this is all Emma Hayes' work to get more eyes and more camps for these young players. All right, should I run through the list, Christine, just a little bit, give the people some names?
Yes, give the people some names and color. Give them the razzle dazzle, Lisa.
We got to give these players some love too. Goalkeepers, 3 of them called in: Jordan Brown, Mia Justice, and Niku Purcell. Defenders, 7 of them: Jordan Bugg, Heather Gilchurst, Savvy King, Emily Mason, McKenna Morris, Leah Reel, Giselle Thompson. Midfielders, 6: Taylor Huff, Claire Hutton, Riley Jackson, Ainsley McMahon, Yuka McCormick, and Lexi Misimo. Forwards, Michelle Cooper, Maddie Deline, Jordan Dudley, Kate Fossey, Jamise Joseph, Avery Patterson, Pietra Torden, and Raylan Turner. Pretty exciting to see some names we know in the NWSL, some young college players. Who are you excited to see
Who am I
get this call up?
excited to see? You know what? I love that this is like the advent of what women's soccer is becoming because now the draft is gone. So I'm not someone who is in the weeds for women's college soccer. Unfortunately, my brain can only take on so much. But I am interested to see Mason Rutgers, are you rah rah, let's go Jersey, show up. I love when you get a local college here. I'm going to let my jersey show just a little bit. But of the players in NWSL that I'm interested to see, only because of the season that they had last year, I feel like with a cooperative of better players that are gelling together and maybe a little bit of a spotlight, I want to see what Jamise Joseph can actually do.
Ooh.
You can see she's got quality, but I just don't think that we've gotten to see her capacity just because the Red Stars are stars, as we will call them forward. Sorry, I'm going to screw that up many times. It's going to be like me writing 2024 for the next 3 months, but I digress. Yeah, I'd like to see what Jamise Joseph looks like in that capacity. And also, I don't think it's any surprise I'm going to say this, but like Claire Hutton, like
Yeah.
deserved. I want to see how that shakes out because I quite frankly think that of the newbies, I'll call them, I think she's got the most promise. Most promise, excuse me.
I love that shout. Jamise Joseph, they put when the roster is announced, they put in parentheses the club team or college of these players, and it said Chicago Stars, and I did have to do a double take. I was like, what's happening here? Good shouts all around. I watched the college game. I actually haven't called any games this year, but in the last several years of my
Do me a
life,
favor, you call more games. I'll tune in to watch you. I will
then
absorb
you'll
by
learn about the
osmosis
college
more college
players.
ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll learn about the college players. You gave a shout out to Rutgers. I'm giving a shout out to Princeton because that's a little more Philly. Pietra Torden, a forward. She's got really good flair on the ball. She keeps the ball close to her. She's a playmaker. She dictates. She plays a lot as a withheld 9 collegiately, dropping a little bit deeper in the midfield, but she is hungry to be on the ball. I'm excited to see what she can do. She played at Youth World Cup this past summer. So she's called into this group with the forwards. I'm also really excited for McKenna Morris. She's listed as a defender on this
Mhm.
Futures Camp roster. We saw her play this past season with Washington Spirit, playing more in the midfield and being a bit of a bruiser, right? If you can tussle around with the likes of Savannah McCaskill, going up against Marta in the midfield, other big name players, you're going to be fine at this futures camp with the other US internationals if they do like a little bit of a crossover between the senior national team. So I'm excited for Morris to get time to prove herself, to grow in her game, to establish herself as a player that can be really versatile for the US, because that's frankly what this is all about, right? Having that development, creating the pathways for younger players to actually find themselves playing professionally, playing at the international level. And it's not just like, wow, you get your first senior national team call up when you're 25. US Soccer and Emma Hayes want these younger players to have experience at these camps and have more time playing together as a group. There are a couple players who did play at the 2022 FIFA U20 Women's World Cup in Costa Rica this past season. That is goalkeeper Mia Justice, Niku Purcell, defenders Emily Mason and Lily Reel, and then forward Michelle Cooper who plays for Kansas City Current in the NWSL. She captained that team. So a lot of familiar names, but who's missing, Christine? Who are you like, man, they deserve to call up in this?
I'm trying to think, because I feel like with this sudden influx of all these new like first timers that are coming in for futures camp, you lose sight of like, oh, the senior players and we are moving younger. I think a lot of the names that I would throw out like have been in the camp before, have been featured, but have been working through injury. Like a Midge, I don't know that she's ready to get thrown back into the mix yet, but trying to think if there's anybody that who would
I got
be? I
one for
mean,
you, Christine. I got one for you.
are you gonna say Sans?
I'm not. That's not a bad one
Okay.
though. I'm looking out west. I'm going to San Diego Wave. Melanie Barcenas. She is a young player that has
That's a
youth
good one.
national team experience, has played now 2 years in the NWSL, and has really established herself as someone that is a sponge, wants to learn, wants to grow. She took a lot of strides in this past year to be a little bit more influential on the pitch. She's got a tough role playing in the midfield, but my word, Barcenas and her footwork are incredible. I mean, she could tussle with the best of them in terms of her footwork, how close she keeps the ball, her ball control, her touch is like butter. She also has developed in the last year of just watching her vision on the ball and her vision of playing. She is thinking 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, whereas a year and a half ago, it was like you could see she was almost a step behind because she was always only thinking 1 step ahead. So Mel Barcenas is for me someone that needed to be on this list. That's
Yeah,
a
that's a
player.
really good one, to be fair. I do like that a lot of these younger players, including those in NWSL, are getting illuminated now. And I do like how immediate we're seeing it with Emma Hayes and her noting that like all of this sudden and immediate action was the direct result of the recent international friendlies and some of the challenges that were there, and her preparing for the future, literally saying, hey, we need to have a better idea of what talent we actually do have, where we can plug and play heading into the next World Cup. And like, I love that there wasn't a hesitation there. There was, this needs to happen now. I don't care. Under 23s, call them in. Let's get some more faces in that we haven't seen previously. There isn't this necessity to placate fans and say, okay, here's the usual senior roster. We're just going to repeatedly bring them back in. Yes, it's great for cultivating more chemistry, but I think that her hitting that right in the bullseye with like, think about how long some of these other players, our contemporaries internationally, have been playing together from academy level and how they've been integrated to their national teams the same way. And that's why they're so efficient. So it's like, hey, get them in earlier. Let's get our eyes on them earlier. And yeah, especially in the absence of a draft, more to the public too.
Mm-hmm. As early as 17, midfielder Ainsley McMahon, she's the youngest on this roster. She's born, Christine, I don't want to make us sick, but she was born in 2007. She's already played in the Women's World Cup this past summer in the Dominican Republic. So she's on this list, but every single player called into this futures camp is eligible to play for the USA under 23. But so that I think is really important, because before you know it, they're eligible, and they are finding their way onto the senior national team. So it's a huge camp for all these young players. Congratulations, Emma Hayes, the senior national team coach, as well as the U.S. national team coaching staff and the youth national team head coaches are all going to come together to run these training sessions at the Futures Camp. We are finally seeing that big bucks, Michelle Kang money be put to work in this camp. This is what her investment was about, the youth growing the game and having it all come together. Shouts, snaps to these 24 players. Congratulations. Go crush it. Go crush it. All right, Christine.
Do it for us. Do it for me, spiritually.
Do
Now
it
I'm
for
having
us.
an existential crisis because you got me stuck on 2007 birth date. I used to be able to say like, yo, I could have teen mommed you, but like I could have just like traditional mommed you. I'm going to go weep after this show. It's fine.
Traditional mommed you.